In this video, we will review enhanced for loop available within the Java programming language. You should already have had exposure to enhanced for loop in the VTC course Java 7 Language Basics, so we will quickly be reviewing it in more depth. The enhanced for statement iterates through the elements of an array without using a counter, thus avoiding the possibility of stepping outside the array. Let's uncomment this code here. Here we have an array with its elements defined, and here we have the advanced for loop in Java 7. Let's run it and see what happens. The enhanced for statement simplifies the code for iterating through an array. Note, however, that the enhanced for statement can be used only to obtain array elements. It cannot be used to modify elements. If your program needs to modify elements, use the traditional counter-controlled for statement. It's important to note that the enhanced for loop can't be used everywhere. You can't use the enhanced for loop in 3 places: to remove elements as you traverse collections, to modify the current slot in an array or list, to iterate or multiple collections or arrays. However, aside from these cases, you should try to use these enhanced for loop code to simplify your code. Let's look at a workaround to modify the current slot in a list. Here's an example of code that cannot modify a string in the current slot. Here we have 3 names, Wayne, Rain, and Crane, that are part of this name list. Using the enhanced for loop, we're going to loop over each one, and we're going to try to change the name to Lewis. And we're going to see, when we print it out, if it actually did change. Let's run our code. As we can see, none of the names were changed. Here's an advanced tip. We can, however, modify the object itself. Let's write an example. Instead of using a string, I'm going to be using a string buffer. Now we have our list, so let's add some elements to it. And we'll add a new string buffer to each one. We'll do it 3 times. And now we'll use the enhanced for loop. To loop over our list and to give us access to each of the elements in there. We'll use string buffer's reverse method to reverse the characters in the list. Let's print out and see or verify whether it actually did change the names in the list. I'll comment this one. And now let's run our code. Right click, run as Java application. As we can see, it actually did change each one of the elements. We can see that we were able to modify the object itself using the string buffer. That's another tip for advanced Java. This concludes our discussion of Java's enhanced for loop.